likes to carry on, it's obviously things like Aurelia, it's things like Olaf. Well, that's banned away. Trundle would be another option for Cabochard, but that's banned by Vitality themselves. So once again, we have a situation where the team against Vitality, they pinch the top lane pool.
Yeah.
And I think Gragas would be a good last ban. So I'm really happy with this one.
2 out of
Yay,
2.
we got
Boom.
the predictions right.
Perfect. So what does Vitality go for from here? Looking at a potential Maokai. I mean...
They're definitely not looking at the Maokai. I think Karma would be a solid first pick.
Yeah,
then there's
made it well
Nidalee.
the bands, yeah.
Nidalee is another solid one. We know Maxlore can play it, but Karma has become like one of these picks that's always contested early. Obviously, Vladimir open too. It's a good point, Pulse.
Yep, it is. Vladimir open, Ryze open, all these high priority bans. Nidalee, as you just mentioned. Karma has often been like a first pick, first rotation, as you can flex it in mid and support, of course. So seeing a lot of that recently. Giants, they have the pick of the litter now that Vlad's been taken away. Do they pick Ryze though?
I mean, if you are Giants, I don't think you need to pick Ryze now, first of all, because Ryze in Europe would normally just be a mid laner. Same for Vladimir. We don't see Vlad top almost ever. So I don't think you need to pick it. I definitely agree with the Karma lock in here from Giants. And I think Shen as well. It's a super interesting pick that's been used more and more, especially in Korea. And is a fantastic top lane pick right now. It's not being flexed anymore like it used to back in the day. It is just a top lane pick. But I think the global pressure he offers, and actually a fairly strong laning phase as well, is super impactful in the current meta where you want to snowball with these dragons.
Exactly. We've seen a lot of lane swaps as well with Shen, where you can properly utilize that ultimate in the early game. Karma was also picked up with that as well, so high priority pick up there from Giants.
And if you're Vitality now, Shen, I mean, you see the Shen. Shen is not a great team fighter. So if you're Vitality, you either try and match the 1-3-1 the Giants will build most likely with the Shen, or you just say, you know what, we actually don't care that much about your global specifically, and we just want to pick strong lanes. And that's where Gnar comes in now, because Gnar has become a top-tier pick in Europe because he's so good into a lot of these top-lane matchups, like Shen, like Trundle. He can do really well against these champions, so it's a natural pick for Cabochard, and it certainly means these bans doesn't have the same impact Giants maybe had hoped for, with banning Olaf, banning Aurelia. And I like the Nidalee as well. When you have a winning top-lane matchup, you have a very strong mid-lane matchup because you have a Vladimir who's such a fantastic early laner. You should have 2 lanes with pressure for Nidalee to start invading.
Yeah, shouldn't be too much contest from the opposing laners, but yeah, Gnar should be a good one in the top lane, especially as Shen has already been picked up, so you know it's going to be a melee versus range matchup up there.
Yes.
We are waiting for the next 2 pickups from Giants.
And I mean, again, if you're Giants here, save your mid lane pick now, take your jungle, take your AD carry, wait to see the full composition of Vitality. Obviously, when you run Vlad, you can always put him in a side lane. He's a strong 1v1 duelist as well, but he obviously shines the most in team fights. Giants sticking to the pick composition. A lot of skirmish, a lot of pick potential with the Shen ulti, obviously the taunt, the Jhin, W as well. So Giants really want one of these games where Vitality never really gets to group as 5.
Yeah. And
you just kind of pick them off left and right and you use your double global from a top laner. Problem is, these comps are very difficult to execute.
I was just going to say, is this a Giants composition?
I don't think it is. I think Giants have been doing well when they got to like just play team fights. And I think this composition will not want to play team fights against what Vitality have been drafting so far.
Yeah, really their strength, as you mentioned, has been team fights against the rest of them who are kind of in the middle of the table, the 6 teams. They can stand up to them in team fights, but yeah, playing this global composition, not so solid just yet. Vitality, last 2 pickups for them. It's going to be the switch to a tahm kench with Ashe here, so I'm going to be gobbling up Ashe once she gets in a bit of trouble, but interesting pick.
Well, something we see a lot in Europe as well. I know it's a lot of in Europe because we are in Europe, so that's just how it is. We see a lot of supports being last picked or last rotation, simply because there are so many options for support. Like, there's so many viable things. And in this case, you saw him hover to Janna and then switch it over to tahm kench. So clearly, they're looking for disengage. They're looking for things to stop these assassination attempts that will come from Giants. Tahm kench work well that way. Single target, long-range nuke from a Jhin, a kick from a Lee Sin. All these kind of things will get denied by a good tahm kench devourer. So it makes a lot of sense. And Ashe also against composition with a lot of globals. Ashe has always done well because she can force fights. every single time, and she's proactive every single time. So she forces you to use defensive Shen ultis instead of you setting up the dives yourself with the Shen. That's at least what Vitality are trying to build here. It is going to be 1-3-1 from them, but with more focus on team fighting to win the game, where Giants are definitely splitting up things.
Yeah. Last pickup was Zyra. I remember last week I was watching Hillesheim just get nailed by Ashe arrows over and over and over and over again on Zyra. So hopefully won't have the same performance this time around as Hustlin. I feel like Hustlin generally good when it comes to mechanics, so should be able to hit those skill shots.
But this is another situation where last picking support kind of changes your entire dynamic as a team, because now suddenly you have a strong team fighting support. Karma is a great team fighting mid laner as well. So where your composition before were very focused on skirmish and picking off targets, it is now shifted to have more tools in the team fight. It's just the Shen who's honestly a weak fighter, but so is Nidalee, if we take that as an example. So I definitely feel Giants now have more options when it comes to team fighting. My only concern is just the lack of tools for them to start fights against the tahm kench, because it's always like one guy trying to make a play. Like it's the Jhin trying to catch someone from long range. It's the Lee Sin trying to single out one guy. If the tahm kench is there, that gets denied. Zyra is fantastic if you run at her.
Yeah.
She's not very good if she has to run at you. So I want to see how these fights are being set up. It's a lot about who's first at objectives and have the vision control around and then forcing you to run at them. Obviously then suddenly you get a good engage. Zyra gets caught out, as you said, and she's down.
We'll have to see if Giants can execute this composition. Very interested to see if they can do that, but you just saw the hashtags VIT win or GIA win as you get into game. We'll be checking in what you think later on, but we are now onto the Rift with our first game of the day here in the studio between Vitality and Giants. I think you raised a very interesting point earlier, Deficio, that our expectations are always, are very high for Vitality, but I think we need to change them, and this game is going to be very important for both the teams. We both look at these teams as being at the bottom of the table, trying to escape relegation, then picking up wins here is very, very important.
Yeah, exactly, because when Vitality made the roster changes, the Yanan change obviously wasn't due to the organization. It was also Yanan stepping away from the pro scene, so they had to kind of find a replacement fairly quickly there. But once they lost the AD carry, and then they made a change in jungle as well, MightyBear came in a bit of a wild card. We obviously kept fairly high expectations for this team and said, I mean, surely Vitality, when you have Cabochard, Nukeduck, kaSing, that's a top 6 team.
Right?
That should be a top 6 team. But it's obviously hurt them way more than we expected. I think MightyBear as a jungler is good individually, but I think he makes some very poor choices in-game. I think he's very greedy in the way he plays. Like, he will go for ganks where it's a very low chance of it actually working, and then fall behind and farm or gives away his position on the map, and then suddenly his other lane gets ganked because he just showed top, as an example. So there definitely been some issues for Vitality. A lot of it is actually in the early game. And then when it comes to real late-game shot calling, where I know Yanan used to have a very good overview of the game, that definitely seems to be lacking for the team.
Just interesting looking at these Keystone Masteries as well. Fairly standard from Vitality. Something a little bit different from Nukeduck compared to other Vladimirs. A lot of them like to run Storm Raiders, but some people do run the Strength of Ages just because mid-game it's actually really nice having a lot of extra health. kaSing being very annoying. Is that actually a kill onto the Merkle?
Don't think it is. He's just buying... Oh, there it is.
Wow.
That is big for him.
Even last, and he knows that the only people who can see that is us and the viewers. Because Giants are already away, so that's actually pretty big.
A lot of experience for kaSing. It is a lane swap, Pulse, so let's just calm down, bring up some chairs.
Gold claps.
Got some meat on the barbecue as well.
Meat on the barbecue.
And now we come back in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Nah, that's not what we do in Europe. We talk lane swaps.
We talk lane swaps. Well, we've spoken about a lot about lane swap, but just also going back to Keystones real quick. Triple Thunderlords over to Giants, actually. Sonstar not going for Deathfire Touch.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I actually had the debate with Mr. Rowles about Keystone on Jhin. Deathfire Touch late game is fantastic. Like, when you have these high amounts of AD, it is a great DPS increase.
Yeah.
But early to mid game, getting that extra burst from a Thunderlord's proc is actually very good on Jhin. Makes him better again early mid game, and because you build Ghostblade, then a lot of your power is shifted towards the first item. And that's where, when you get your first item, you have the Thunderlord, it's a bit of extra DPS, it's good burst coming from him, and it can also surprise. Like, you gotta keep in mind, if you start getting the 3 or 4 hits as a Jhin, you know the crit is coming.
Yep.
Like every single extra bit of damage really helps when it comes to then getting them as low as possible, land the crit. So it's just good for early mid-game DPS.
Yep.
Late game, you do lose out a little bit.
I mean, ultimately, both keystones are really good for him because they scale so well from AD, so it's actually not too bad. Vitality going for this very early Dragon on the strong side instead of swapping back and then giving it over to Giant. So high priority. That was an Infernal Dragon, though.
Yeah, so obviously because it's Infernal, Vitality put a lot of value on it, but normally we never see teams do this after the first Tier 1 tower because you tend to fall a little bit too far behind in early experience and early gold in these swaps here. You can see now the Giants were actually fairly slow on taking the Tier 1 tower, which again allowed Vitality to take that Dragon. Because it's not even like there's that big of a difference. Cabochard has been sitting in bot lane farming for way too long. If you consider the fact that now Sonstar pushed him away, same thing is going to happen like in 10 seconds on top side. That's not that big of a deal in the current lane swap meta. Like, Cabochard has been getting enough farm for him to be happy and not falling behind, and the team got the Infernal Drakes. Because Giants were so slow actually on the first push, Vitality's been able to get a decent early advantage by getting that Drake, because top laners right now are even, which is where you could sometimes see an issue like Cabochard would very early be pushed away from his wave because Giants were already running down to stop him, and then he would have to walk up to a lane pushing away from him and he would be behind in farm. But that didn't happen here because Vitality were that much faster taking the first tower and putting Cabochard in that solo lane.
Right. Not going to be too bad at all. SmityJ using his teleport there just onto the minion, so it means we won't be losing that one too fast and we'll be taking away this tower. But actually, is that like the right thing to do in that situation? Because you have enough minions there to take down the tower.
You're trying to catch up, basically, or stay even now in terms of, again, the tempo of taking down this tower. I don't think you need teleport and lane swaps anymore to defend or dive. Where in the past you wanted to always keep your TP because then you could do these 4v3 tower dives.
Yeah.
If someone went to defend at some point, you would just like TP in with your top lane and just straight dive them. But because the towers are so strong in the early game, like with the first few hits, it's too risky to do anymore, so you don't see these TP dives, and that's why you can use it to kind of increase the tempo, make sure you're always there to not fall further behind in experience, as an example, and I think it's fine.
Yep.
I don't think it's a bad thing anymore. I haven't seen a 4v3 tower dive in the early game ever since the changes.
Not for a long, long time. Maxlore here is just taking away some of the camps on MightyBear's side. Well, of course, we do have this lane swap. Sometimes we've seen a pretty good synergy from Maxlore and Knight, at least. But really, in this lane swap, I'm not seeing a lot of interaction between these laners, and Vlad is just going to keep himself sustained in the mid lane anyway. See a bit of a trade here, but Karma is a pretty strong laner, so it's going to shake that off pretty fine. Yeah,
she's a great early laner. You pick Karma for her pressure in the early to mid game, where she has a lot of damage due to very high base damage, obviously, from her.
Yeah.
That mantra Q. Late game, it's kind of a sad story, especially compared to like Vladimir full late game. Is a big difference. So Giants are definitely not looking to go full late here with these compositions. They want to use the mid game to force plays around dragons, set up a few sieges on towers. Hustlin and Cabochard saying hello to each other. Again, it is some of these swaps where there's no action. It's just kind of quickly swapping around and then pushing in. Now we do get standard lanes pulls.
We do. And it's just about seeing if anyone really picked up a big advantage from that. But judging from the CS and judging from the experience, nothing really there. It's just about that dragon that Vitality picked up early on into this game.
Yeah, now we just got to always look at, like, every single time lane setups swap around, lane assignments, you always got to look at the minion waves. Like, why are they doing this right now? So one thing Vitality noticed before was that in the bottom lane, SmityJ had this big wave that was going to be pushing down towards him, like a massive freeze he was building up. So they quickly TP Cabochard down. Notice how Cabochard used TP here to make sure that that wave doesn't just keep killing all the minions. Cabochard was supposed to pick up and just push away from him. So they try and even that out. There will still be a big wave for SmityJ so he can catch up and farm. And meanwhile on top side, well, yeah, Giants were pushing down, but Vitality knew, okay, we can see everyone on the map. We can just wait for this wave for AD carry and support, and we can just pick it up. So Vitality putting a lot of focus on Cabochard, going like, oh, there's a lane down here. We need you to just TP down instantly, catch that farm and push it out. And that's what he's doing right now. And also that's why you see MightyBear on your minimap hovering around Cabochard, because he's overextended, he's very far up. 8 minutes into the game. You need your jungler there, just as backup.
just to cover him, because he really wants to push this wave into tower.
Yep.
Make it harder for SmityJ to pick up all of these minions, but he shouldn't be too bad. Do have a lot of people from Giants reacting to the bot side now. Maxlore is going to jump to his Gromp, so MightyBear's not going to take this one away. Try to, very close. He's helping. He took the Scuttle Crab before away, so it's fine. You can see all those random seeds being planted by Hustlin, very annoying to deal with. Just passively, there's just seeds everywhere, and then you get hit by 4 plants at once. Really, really annoying to play against, but not as bad in lane swaps. You don't have the Zyra who just set up in a lane and then continuously spawning seeds. So
no, I mean the only benefit she gets in the swap is you can actually activate one of your plants, and the tower will hit the plant instead of your minion. So make sure your minion get like 1 or 2 extra hits every time on the tower. That's
which is nice, but
it's
not amazing.
Small details.
Yeah.
If you're not into lane swaps, you wouldn't care. Oh,
Hustlin stops 2 people, but
that's bad for Vitality.
Yeah. Maxlore coming in from behind though. He's got SmityJ on top of him with the Stand United, and Knight is coming in from the mid lane. kaSing immediately dropped into grey health, focusing down this target. Moving on to Police as well. Fantastic route coming in from Hustlin, and it will find kaSing on the backside. 2-0 to Giants.
That was huge that Hustlin managed to find the 2 guys recalling, because there obviously no tower for Vitality. An instant reaction. Shen ulti, TP from Tahm. Great little power play from Giants, and when you are Shen, you can make an aggressive play and always return to your lane again and just try and save this tower. Cabochard got a lot of damage on it though. SmityJ will try and do his best to stop him from killing it. But overall, 2 early kills from Giants, and it all comes down to Hustlin finding Police and kaSing sitting and kissing in that bush, saying, you are donezo now.
Yep, stop that. Stop that, Police. And yeah, honestly, for a second I thought it was going to be bad for Hustlin, because he just kind of walked up to 2 people, but he had plenty of support behind him. And it was a seed.
It was, and just a few seconds here, and just instant reaction. Really not a whole lot else to say about the play. Vitality will pick up a second dragon if you look down your bottom of the screen here. And we do have a situation where it's not all bad. Yes, okay, you give up 2 early kills, you got 2 dragons, it's Mountain and it's Infernal, so very impactful dragons. And Cabochard once again got to sit in and push out his wave. I also actually like Vladimir in this matchup, because Vladimir can just rush Spirit Visage against these heavy AP lanes. The early bully lanes. And once he gets the Spirit Visage, he doesn't care. He's like, yeah, you hit me, I'm just going to heal back on this minion, and you're never going to kill me. And it's then difficult for Karma to have one-on-one pressure, and she needs to start moving around, have this long-range poke with Q, and then into a W from a Jhin, and then you create a pick.
Vlad only really suffers kind of pre-6, but Karma doesn't have enough kill pressure on Vlad to either push him out of lane or kill him. So as soon as he gets the Spirit Visage, he's good to go.
Also because he's running teleport.
Yeah.
Like Giants are trying to do 2 things. They're trying to run this composition that really wants to snowball in the mid game by having this 4-man group of a Karma, Jhin, Zyra, Lee Sin together, who can really catch you out of position, have a lot of mid-game damage when you sit on a Ghost Blade as a Jhin.
Yep.
But then at the same time, they're trying to secure a 1-3-1 by running TP. Obviously meaning that Knight had no real, as you said, kill pressure in that lane, because he has no Ignite, which does hurt his pick a little bit. So they're kind of trying to do both at once.
Yeah.
And I want to see, once we get this Ghost Blade completed, if Giants actually are able to speed up the game and try to start forcing things, or Vitality gets to sit and just play these different lanes where Cabochard will just perma push, like do nothing else for the entire game long.
That's the question, right? Well, can Giants execute this composition? Because yes, they have more tools for team fights now, as we got towards the end of their draft, but it's very much more about getting those picks, utilizing their mid-game, and making sure that Lee Sin can get involved in these skirmishes. So they really need more kills at this point to really transition well. Those 2 kills were nice, but not really being able to force anything else. And they're just rotating Knight down to the bottom lane to deal with Cabochard now.
And we talked about both teams. I see it out for Cabochard.
Wallop has got the follow-up. The flash is going to come down by Knight, but cross-map arrow in from Police is not really going to result in anything. SmityJ is going very deep, but he's got the help of Maxlore coming in. Stranglethorn comes up, but kaSing is going to save Nukeduck. Opening fire with the Jhin will be slowing down kaSing. Going into grey health. Nukeduck's going to return a lot of damage. Pounce comes in, and a takedown from MightyBear. Fail flash from Maxlore. Does he have a way out? No, he does not. And he's used to jump over the wall. Literally hurting Fisher over here. 2-0. Going to be equalizing the scoreboard.
Oh, Vitality gets everything here. Not only did the Shen ult get used, Giants then tried to chase for the kills, but could never really commit to anything. It's one of the other issues we highlighted in Champs. Like their way of engaging is like Maxlore finding a guy and then kicking him back, or Sonstar maybe with a snare, but that only works once you get even more ranked in W, and then tahm kench will just kind of ruin all the fun.
Yep.
So this is fine from Vitality because they want to try and force the TP or their ulti from Shen. That's perfectly fine here, and you are 5 members on bottom side if you are Vitality, so they can actually fight. This is fine, engage at first, but then kaSing is here, saves the day basically, spits Nukeduck out, and now Giants can't really engage. There's nothing they can do. They're just kind of walking forward, taking a lot of poke damage every single time. Ooh. That one hurts.
What was the flash for?
I actually don't think Maxlore even had to flash like that to get out. He could have just flashed straight over the wall right behind him and just ran out. But in the moment, decision making, tahm kench coming in behind.
Flash comes in from Nuke to try and close the distance, and kaSing is coming in to try and close the noose. Meanwhile, the TP is going to be cancelled. Yeah, I don't want to teleport on that one, buddy. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Cabochard's going to come in. Flash, Gnar! And the kill onto Sonstar 1v1.
Again, Vitality seem to be in full control of these early fights here. Cabochard had a sort of a flank, I guess, and then he just finds an AD carry. He's like, all right.
I mean, he just kind of walked up to him and then 1v1'd him, so.
I'll take that, and gets a solo kill on Sonstar instead. Black Cleaver Gnar against the Shen, so Shen has no side pressure at all. Let's see again. Giants invading in. Shen does have TP at this point, but so does Cabochard. Just a lot of early damage on the squishy Zyra, and Vitality instantly knowing they can just engage. And look here to your right, Cabochard finds Sonstar and gets you to single him out. Giants at this point didn't even complete the Ghost Blade yet, and have honestly just been a little bit too greedy when they were looking for potential fights. Vitality, 2 Drakes, now almost 3k gold lead at 15 minutes. That's massive.
Yeah. As you mentioned, plus those 2 dragons, and they're in a great position to pick up the next one as well. There's a decent amount of vision, though, from Giant setup around the dragon area, but I feel like that's going to be cleared out very soon, as MightyBear is already in the river and is poking out Maxlore as he's trying to come in. So, of course, they're going to try and contest this one, because this will be second Infernal over to Vitality now. Giants won't be too happy with that result.
So Vitality managed to push out top lane, meaning that SmityJ, yes, he has TP or he has his ulti at this point, but they don't need to have anyone sitting there against him if you are Vitality, because he's so far away from a tower. So as long as you can start the fight within the next 15-20 seconds, this Shen will not even be close to a tower, therefore he won't really be a threat of taking down your tier 2 tower. And you can just force the fight, get him to use his ulti, like Vitality are doing now, and then Giants will have to move the Shen away from that lane, and Cabochard can then return and pick it up after. So Dragon being started, instantly taken down, and now Cabochard can just go to that bottom lane, or Nukeduck, and grab that big wave coming to Shen.
Here comes Zyra as well, trying to initiate a fight. It's actually a pretty good plant line set up by Hustlin, making it very difficult to get involved. The Vine Lashes coming down, slowing them out. And Giants will be able to kind of give mid lane tower a love tap, but that is the worst of consolation prizes.
Double Infernal at 17 minutes. It might not, I mean, it will obviously benefit you already, but imagine in 10 minutes when you have even more AP and AD stacked up on your carries, it's going to be huge. Because all your members except for the tahm kench benefits from this. Tahm kench is kind of like whatever, but...
Yeah, he's going to get the extra 16% AD. He's slapping people with his tongue. All the damage coming in.
And he's currently sitting on 83 AD.
Unbelievable spike there.
What a beast.
Yeah, but yeah, everyone else on that team will be very happy with it. Vitality even going to pick up the Herald as well. So, pretty nice. Actually, fairly good timing on it. You always want to try and get Herald as late on as you can. So for the next 20 minutes, Cabochard will be benefiting from that. And up against Smitty, he was already winning, so now it's win more. And there's 0 things that Shen can do in that lane now.
And it's fun how when Rift Herald got changed, it was in the tank meta still, and people were like, it's useless.
Yeah.
And it was useless in almost every situation. But Riot obviously knew what was going to happen in the next few patches, So suddenly it made a lot of sense because then there's been a lot of nerfs to tanks. I actually think there's been too many nerfs to tanks. It's been like items, the champions themselves been nerfed as well. And then Rift Hell introduction here. Last Whisper just got buffed to make it even worse for tanks. Like there's been like multiple nerfs. Jhin is trying to fire away. I'm not talking about it because it
he
looks
missed
like
everything.
A situation where getting a kill would be very difficult, but it's fun out there now over so many patches there's been buffs or changes that it makes the life of a tank even worse. So it was already difficult. Here's the Last Whisper buff.
Yep. And rest in peace, tanks. Shen is kind of coming back though, because he's still good in swaps, and he's actually fairly decent into a lot of the carry matchups, like specifically Aurelia. That one can go either way depending on early kills, early gold, early item spikes.
But Shen is not back because he's a tank. He's back because he has a global. That's fantastic because he actually has a strong early game as well. That's why Shen is being used, and then you can create these picks with him with his taunt. Which is the great thing about Shen. It's not like people don't pick him because, oh, we really want a tank top. Like, we need a tank top right now. No, because then you go for things like Gnar, who has obviously a mix of it. Even an Olaf can be in there as an example. We've seen Fizz before this. He's been nerfed on this patch, so I actually don't think we will see Fizz that much anymore as a top laner. But he was another one of these hybrids where he was both building tanky, but also had like one DPS item. And not these pure tanks anymore, like at least here in Europe, we don't see Maokai that often. We don't see Nautilus that often as these pure tank picks.
That is a cue that you do not want to follow up if you're a Lee Sin. Maxlore's had some questionable, my mind's telling me no, but my body moments.
You mean in the past?
Yeah, in this game. A couple times. Just been jumping onto people and then almost getting Hustlin killed. But
I just think Giant's composition is something that's really good to run if you have great macro.
Yeah. If
you really understand how to set up sieges on towers and the side lane control, and you understand when to fight and definitely when not to fight, like how your comp can actually fight. It can never fight by you running straight at them. Your comp will be horrible then.
And I think that's the strength that Giants have had, grouping up and just running at people.
I agree.
Yeah, because actually a lot of the teams who are around them right now are trying so hard to be good at macro that while they're like standing there with indecision, Giants are just like pull the trigger, run at them, and then pick up the team fight before the enemy even knows what's going on. And Giants, I feel like, are trying to be too smart here. Ooh, that is a 60% spear onto Hustlin. And yeah, this just isn't working out because Giants aren't able to get these skirmishes. That would have been 2 spears and a dead Zyra.
Yeah, a little too obvious, I guess.
Yeah, well, I thought the first one was, but...
But exactly, the point is here that the Giants, when they have been successful, it's been team fighting compositions with Engage, right? And in this game, they kind of went away from it very early on. And we have seen them now try and run at these fights, obviously failing to do so, being caught out then. And where we had this mid-game of a Karma and a Jhin with Ghostblade, where Giants were supposed to be able to have a lot of pressure, start setting up around these objectives and towers, because then you don't need Engage. If the other team is stuck on their tower anyway, then who cares about Engage? Because you poke them out, and then you take the tower. And it's one of these situations, it's something I really, really love, is when comps have very clear ways of winning, and then a team, for whatever reason, can't get to play that way. Either they make mistakes or the other team outplayed them. And then people go, oh, that comp was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was awful comp. And then the next game, another team runs it, and they're able to execute a mid-game.
Oh, what a great composition.
What a great comp.
Yeah,
like,
could not have outdrafted them harder.
Execution means so much, and some of these comps where there's a lot of risk involved, there's often also very high reward involved as well.
There is, but you have to have the team who's able to execute on
That's
it.
fair.
Out of game, Sunny Skies. In game, also Sunny Skies. Got a 3rd Infernal Dragon coming up this game.
Man, Vitality's... That's a perfect game
to
go for early dragons.
The perfect game. They knew it was going to be triple Infernal. They didn't, but this is working out really well for them. And oh man, I'm having flashbacks from the UOL game. Here comes Nukeduck for the flank, and Hustlin's dropping low. He's got the ultimate on top of him as well. Jhin is going to lay down some cover fire. He's going to help his allies. Hustlin will survive. Knight's going to step forwards, take some beating from Cabochard. MightyBear dropped very low, but is going to be saved out there by kaSing. Mid tower's being sieged in. Luckily, the minions have disintegrated. However, Dragon is live, so Vitality will be speeding on down there. Giants aren't too badly injured, so they will try and contest this. They're actually leading. Oh, here comes Cabochard looking for an ultimate. Doesn't really get it onto anyone, though. There's the flash. Ultimate onto 2. Nukeduck coming in, looking for the Tides of Blood. And Maxlore going in, he's looking for the kick onto Police, gets the high priority target, but he had flash. Now Nukeduck's coming in into the Sanguine pool. Everyone is so low. MightyBear jumps in, that's a double, that's the ace. In fact, a clean ace for Vitality, 5-0.
It is so hard for Giants to find anyone to kill right now. Like, it's like, again, it's one guy trying to make that one play and then single out a target. And that's the Lee Sin. No one else can do it from Giants. It's all about kiting back from them, or then maybe like a flash taunt from SmityJ. But he's often the guy TPing in just when the fight is about to start, and therefore he's not the main engage. He's here with the team. So they find kaSing at first. Then Cabochard is enough of a threat to force them back. He's sadly not for him able to find more targets. Sonstar gets to flash away. But now if you are Giants, you can't really turn around. This play from Maxlore looks very flashy, but the rest of Vitality can kind of follow. And it's so hard for Giants to do anything. They lose the third Drake.
Yeah.
Lose the Baron. Fourth Drake, sorry, third Infernal Drake. They lose the Baron. This is one of the most one-sided moments in a game I've seen in a long time, where you have Baron buff and triple Infernal, and you're like, what, 6-7k gold ahead as well?
Yeah, 6-7k gold. There's 5 kills in mid lane, and like Giants just couldn't do anything on the map for like a full minute. Like Vitality are just so far ahead at 25 minutes. It's almost unbelievable. Cabochard is also in the sideline. He even has Herald and the Baron.
Yeah.
Like, no one can deal with him at all.
This Gnar pick definitely hurt Giants a lot.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to have this Shen sitting in a side lane, having at least pressure in that lane. So when you have the strong 4-man group, at least Shen would go even. And then you could make their plays on these towers, and Shen could always TP in. But because the Gnar came in, and let's see what happens top.
A lot of damage out from Nukeduck. Just a full rotation will drop Knight down to a 3rd HP. Maxlore's coming in. I'm not even sure they can 2v1 him. Here comes the Sanguine Pool. Deadly Flourish comes from long range. Tides of Blood takes one. Gonna kick Nukeduck back, but he just laughs it off. Comes in with another Tides of Blood. Now Tahm Kench is gonna join the party along with Gnar. Sonstar's gonna get locked down. He's dead. Police comes in from the sidelines. Hustlin's gonna lock him up. Do a Maxlore. This will be a kill. Nope. MightyBear's gonna come in, swoop in for 1 kill, look for the second. Police is gonna throw out the volley, and it's kaSing to find the kill. Another 4 kills. Top lane tower, top lane inhibitor tower, top lane inhib.
And it's just turned into a complete stomp. Vitality got all the Drakes they wanted. They're pushing for Nexus turrets 26 minutes in.
Man, this is just going to be the game. There's nothing that Smitty can do. Knight is going to respawn in time. Meteor is Hustlin. And Vitality are all over the Nexus. This is going to be a game 1 win for Vitality over Giants.
Yeah, I don't even feel like we had to